So here's what I mean when I say I make 10K a month as a high school dropout without even trying. I wasn't trying to build a 10K a month dollar business. I was trying to build a business that gave me enough money not only to retire my parents but to save my father's life. I haven't reached that goal yet, but when I see my current business, it feels like I didn't even try. When I was 16, I started working with architects, and yes, it was not legal. Honestly, I didn't have any idea of what I was doing. So when no one tells you what to do, they don't tell you what not to do, and you're not afraid of doing the impossible. No one cares about who's behind the screen as long as your work is really good. Years later, I got to work with multi-billionaire companies without a degree and without being able to speak English. I just didn't care because I wanted to help my dad. At first, it was not because of his health. His business was going down, the house was falling apart, and we were using the same clothes for years. We were having a bad time and I wanted to do something about it. I took a computer and decided to help my dad doing a part of his job. He was suffering and his health was starting to go down, so I thought making his work a bit easier would be a good idea. Everything was going well. Our clients loved how we transformed their ideas into reality. We were doing a good job, but my father started to get sick and the business started to fall apart. I had to worry about my father's health, about having something to eat and paying off all the debt. Just giving a hand was not enough anymore. I had to get money. I started getting clients on Facebook, getting better and better, and eventually I landed a job with an architect. I was watching my designs being built in real life. Imagine a 16-year-old with no experience designing your apartment. My father told me they didn't treat him with respect because he was not an architect or an engineer. So, if I study, I will get respect. But I don't want to be called Mr. Architect. I want to be proud of who I am without a title. And I want to prove to my father that he doesn't need a title behind his name to be enough. Everyone praised me for my success, but I never celebrated being the kid who works with architects at 16 because I was not trying to do that. I was trying to help my dad. But he was getting worse and worse and I couldn't do anything about it. Instead of going to architecture school, making my mom proud and being the best in my class, I decided to drop out. I had the experience and success to become an architect, but I didn't have time. If I didn't do something now, I was not gonna be able to save my dad. And if he died, my family would have no one to rely on. At 16 years old, I dropped out of high school. My first real business idea was to keep doing the same service. Maybe I could start my own studio and hire a few people to help me. But then I saw an opportunity to work with an international client making video games. But I wouldn't be able to help my dad as much. I would have to leave everything and start again. For 2 years, I got no revenue. But one day, I got hired by a company. Finally, I was able to help my family not only with a few dollars on the table, but I had a chance to retire my parents, fix my house, take care of my sister's education, and also finally making my big project. At 18 years old, I finally had a real plan to save my dad, but it took longer than expected. I spent years trying to launch my project without success. Maybe I was short on money or I was too busy working on other stuff. And most of the time, when I hired people, they just abandoned the project. I spent all of my savings into buying a small game and making it something big. But every time I hired someone to code, they told me it was too messy. Some people laughed, some people tried, but didn't accomplish anything. One guy stole from me to get drugs and a MacBook. But I never gave up. I mean, I did, multiple times, but I decided to get back. I lost my first job and almost gave up, but my father was still suffering, so I tried again. Working on my game, learning more stuff, and getting a job to finance my project. I tried hiring more people, but as I told you, they left the project. So I stopped working on the project for months. I focused on getting better, studying, and eventually I got a new job. Instead of spending money on my project, I used it for my family. 3 months before my birthday, number 19, I lost my job. But I wanted to keep trying. So while I was looking for another one, I started to learn more and more. I also tried to learn coding, but it seemed impossible. I kept trying. 1 month before my birthday, I hadn't found a job, but I was still trying. Even though I was making no progress, I was sure that I was going to save my father's life no matter what. But one day, I found my dad on the floor. He was dying on my arms. I wasn't thinking about all the progress that I would lose or what I would do after his funeral. The only thing I was thinking about when I was looking at his eyes was, does it hurt? Are you scared? And do you feel my arms? Do you know that I love you? He was going through a very bad seizure. But eventually, he woke up. Life gave us another chance. For the following weeks, we kept fighting with his illness, because he could just die at any moment. I spent a week taking care of him, and it was the worst experience of my life. With all the medication and stuff going on inside his brain, he was not my dad. I was just waiting for the next time he would drop to the floor. A few weeks before my birthday, he got sent to rehab. And you will think, well, I almost lose my dad. Life gave us another chance, so I should be motivated to try again, but I didn't want to try again. I was tired. I didn't see my dad for over a month. I didn't have a job. Our family donated some food so we could have something to eat. And I realized that I had failed at reaching my goal. A few months later, my dad recovered. I spent the following months being depressed, but I was still trying to study and find a job. Eventually, I got a nice job. I was able to help my family again, and my father started to take care of his body. And so I did. I realized, even though I was trying so hard to launch this project and failed, I was good at my job. Every time I failed, I learned something new. Losing my job was actually a good thing because I got a better opportunity. I realized I didn't fail. I was growing better and better. I had a 10K a month opportunity without trying. I realized this is a dream for most people. This is enough to take care of your parents, to have a healthy life, to keep learning and eventually reach your goal. I was going to make a video about depression, about how I failed to save my family. But instead, why not try to save myself so I can save them? This is gonna be my next goal. First of all, if you take a look at the industry, I would be destroyed by the competition. I'm not even a junior designer outside of my niche. So I got a plan. I will study every day and master my skills so I can work in the industry. In the meantime, I will finish my project and make a business that maintains me while I expand to a local business. If I finish this project, I could give my family a good life or retire my parents. But if I fail, at least I will become the best on my niche without trying to do so. So, I hope I don't fail, even though I know I will fail multiple times. But when I do, I will try again. You know what they say, aim for the moon, because even if you miss, you still land among the stars. And you can always fall back home and try again.